Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this. What is today, the 19th, Juneteenth? You know, it's a holiday today, Juneteenth. A lot of the federal buildings and whatnot closed, post offices and everything. And one of my facilities, Heritage Medical, my day job, closed today. And I thought, maybe this will be an easier day. I can get some more stuff done. And sure enough, that didn't happen. Work asked me to cover some more Vanderbilt stuff, and I was busier today than I would be on a normal day. So, very busy Juneteenth day for myself here. Got a great show with you for tonight. Keith Engel, hopefully. I won't have the confusion I had yesterday with Jeffrey Descovich, although Jeffrey's great. He came through at the very end. It will be on 30 minutes past the hour. We're going to ask Keith about the Yankees. Go to get his thoughts on college football, paying these players where we're at right now, Caitlin Clark's situation. And I'm going to ask him about Bill Belichick. Really interesting story here. I'm dating this 24-year-old cheerleader, which I'm totally okay with. Got a good take on that. Going to divvy a little bit more into the Trevor Lawrence contract, and kudos to the University of Tennessee baseball team. And I'll talk about them when I get back from the break here. And a little quick announcement on that series. Tennessee, first time I want to say since 1951, will be in the College World Series championship game Saturday. They beat Florida State today. Okay, so stand by. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope.
Welcome to Sports Scope, the most...
Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Okay, just before the break, like I said, kudos to the University of Tennessee, the number one overall seed in the College World Series, will be in the World Series championship game. According to ESPN, first time since 1951 today, beat Florida State 7-2 here in the, I guess you call it the semifinals or whatnot. Tennessee will be in the World Series final. Xander Zegras held the Seminoles scoreless for 6 innings, and the Volunteers struck for 4 runs, become the first number one national seed since 2009 to advance to the best of 3 finals. Starting Saturday, they'll play Texas A&M or Florida. Whoever wins that particular game will be Saturday. Okay. So anyways, all right. Tomorrow I've got a dentist appointment. I'm probably going to get a tooth, a cavity filled. I don't know how it's going to be, how long I'm going to be at the dentist. I hope I can get it done. So, going to replay an interview of Kavarius Tears on this team. He plays outfield. He was center field today. Kavarius Tears often plays right field. He played center field today against North Carolina on Sunday, Mr. Tears. I know his mom, Alicia. I met her through my carrier job. She works at Vanderbilt, works at one of the clinics out in the Franklin, Tennessee area. Really nice lady, great family, great father, great mom. He's out of Lewisburg, Kavarius is. But stand by tomorrow. Kavarius Tears, 20 home runs, really hot. He playing well. He didn't have a great day today, but Sunday he had 4 of the 5 RBIs. 4 of the 5 runs came through his bat. 3-run homer and an RBI late in the game to seal the game against North Carolina. This guy, this interview's about 2 years ago, November of 22, I want to say. He's just talking about his daily routine, what he has to go through, and his training regimen and whatnot to be a major college baseball player of his status. This guy's got major league aspirations, major league talent. He's in the top 50 according to ESPN. I've got an interview with him. He's going through all that. He talked about all the programs. You remember Tennessee football was the #1 team in the country a couple of years ago, beating Alabama and Florida in the same year. It looks like they could have a really big year this year with Nico, the quarterback. I can't pronounce this guy's last name. It's a mouthful, but he's talking about that, talks about his regimen. Really good. Tune in tomorrow. I'm replaying. I've already got it scheduled to replay Kavarius Tears on this World Series team. I've reached out to bring him back on the program. I've lost his mom's contact. He hasn't got back to me. I know he's very busy and very stressed, probably trying to, this is the biggest game of his career, a series coming up this week. Maybe he comes on. And then again, maybe he feels like maybe he's too big time to come on SportsScope. But I don't think that's the issue. He hasn't got back to me. I don't expect him to get back, but you will get to see. He's came on the program twice, and I was very appreciative of the both times that Kavarius did come on the program. So check out SportsScope tomorrow. Interview with Kavarius Tears, star player on this particular team here, along with this guy, nicknamed Dale Earnhardt of Knoxville, this pitcher here, Kirby Cornell, along with running mate Xander Zekis, power up the top-ranked Tennessee Vols on and off the field. Very good story there about those two, also on ESPN website. All righty then. Okay, got that out of the way. Wanted to make those announcements. Okay, now Thursday. Let's go back a few days here, folks. Trevor Lawrence. I wanted to talk about this contract. The numbers finally came out on this particular contract here. And I'll tell you what, a lot of it is, and I've said for the most part, most of these quarterbacks are overpaid. It's just the way the market is right now. Timing is everything. Is Kirk Cousins worth $340 million? Of course not. He's made more money than Tom Brady, for crying out loud, as far as NFL is being concerned. And this Lawrence contract, yeah, it's pretty high. It looks intimidating when you first see the headlines. But I will say this, not in love with this general manager here, Trent Baalke, but the way this thing is mapped out. And I've said this yesterday when we talked about the Boston Celtics winning the championship. And Jerry Krause, organizations win championships, not players. Organizations. Who's got to put the players together? Who's got to go out and hire the coaches? Well, that's all the organization here, And Baalke, again, the way he has set this thing up here and the cap hits or lack thereof it is setting Jacksonville up to be successful, Going back to Lawrence, he was a highly sought-after quarterback since his freshman year in college. Remember his freshman year, he beat Alabama in the national championship game. Since being drafted in 2021, he has shown gradual improvement. Mind you, again, Urban Meyer could not have done, and I'm a big Urban Meyer guy. I love Urban Meyer. But he could not have done a worse job staying over in Cincinnati when his team was in the middle of a Thursday night game or whatever in Ohio and hanging out at his bar, and then it leaks out of him some kind of picture of him, a woman rubbing up on him being married, and the team flying back separately. It was terrible, terrible look for Urban Meyer, and then the fallouts with the other players, him coming from college, not showing that other next level of respect for the professionals. That's kind of a dead horse, but just we're recapping here, okay? So then he hits his stride about going back to Lawrence here, of year two, going on a winning streak, getting into the playoffs, and orchestrating. Remember this, folks. They won their division. Won their division, beat Tennessee in the last game there, and came back 27-point comeback orchestrated a lot on his arm there. 27-point comeback on the LA Chargers there. And then last year they only to come up just short against Kansas City the next week. Last year, like I said last week, played through injury. Teams ends up firing their defensive coordinator. And I know that it's been circling the internets here, particularly on the X app, about Trevor Lawrence, about him being comparable to Daniel Jones. And that's one of those deals where numbers can lie. When Daniel Jones throws the ball, you hold your breath. Daniel Jones, most of his stats come from beating them on bad teams. The year they made the playoffs, mainly like your Minnesotas of the world before they hired Brian Flores and whatnot, But Lawrence, according to Pro Football Focus, one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL, saw it last year with Christian Kirk and, of course, with Calvin Ridley. That's why I was surprised that they did not bring back Calvin Ridley. Tennessee simply outbid them, and it come down to a choice by his girlfriend, but go between New England and Tennessee. But, Trent Baalke, going back to him, again, I'm not in love with the guy. He took Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson, who was a much better player on defense. But just looking at the way that he has structured this particular contract, and I'm trying to go back here, is okay. So the extension's done this year. All right. We know that quarterbacks, there's been rumors that Dak Prescott may want $60 million. He's by the way, Dak Prescott's a $55 million cap hit this year. We were all wondering why, man, Dallas, they usually make big moves in the offseason. They didn't do anything. And part of it, when I was looking back at it, Dak Prescott's got a $55 million cap hit. So anyways, it's all about that cap hit. If other than the I think it's like 15%. And listen, there are no Patrick Mahomes out there. It's very rare to get that Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid combo, Steve Spagnuolo combo, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, best quarterback, offensive mind probably in the league history, perhaps, or one of the best in all of a Hall of Fame offensive-minded head coach there in Andy Reid, and is just a freakish athlete, a student of the game. And Patrick Mahomes, I do think he is a student of the game. The cap hit for Mahomes when they beat Philadelphia, which they shouldn't have beat, but they did. When they beat Philadelphia year before last, it was like pretty close. It's way over like 15%, and he was taking a pay cut then. He could have maxed out even more. He beat that 11.6% that Brady had prior to that. And you said, what do you mean by all this crap? Well, years before this, anybody over that 11.6%, any player, and it's mainly quarterbacks, right? That made over that. Those teams did not win Super Bowls. They got to Super Bowls. The Colts did with Peyton Manning back against the the New Orleans Saints, but they didn't win. They didn't win Super Bowls. That's the numbers. They just did not win Super Bowls. That's another reason why, Brady made what he did, won what he did. He took major pay cuts over the years, whether he's married to a supermodel or not. That makes no never mind. But so that 11.6, that's still really the number, and I'll read over here in a few minutes the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. But this Trevor Lawrence deal here, this year, for example, he's $15 million cap hit. This guy was drafted in 2021. That's a 5%. That is money that Jacksonville could do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want as far as if they need to make a mid-season move. Those are very good. And then next year, it's 8%. Or no, excuse me, it's still 6% next year in 25. His cap hit is $17 million. Think about it. The cap goes up about $11 million, 10, 11 million, depending on the year. Sometimes a little more every single year. So the cap for him, it's 8.2% in 26. And then people say, well, what about in 27? Okay, the cap hits $35 million. A lot of people say, well, then it finally hits in. Well, it's 11.19. That's still borderline, not too bad. That's still not too bad considering that the Chiefs have went over 15 and won the Super Bowl. So they still have next year to load they still have this year if they want to do something at the trade deadline. But they still have next year to really push their chips in and load the wagon. And it wouldn't be the end of the world if they loaded the wagon in 27 and pushed it even farther because he's only 11.9. And then, of course, in 28, it does go up to 14 and then 21% in 29. It really blossoms. But if you compare this thing to, and let me say this, and I don't want to be one of these people that admit I was wrong about something, but I do commend what Cleveland has done the Browns have done as far as Mr. Haslam, the owner there, and as far as him saying, okay, we see a big-time quarterback out here. We're going to give him a fully guaranteed contract because we're the Cleveland Browns. And he's only been the owner 10, 11 years. So it's not like he's been there 30 years. I'm going to change the perspective of the Cleveland Browns. We're not going to be the losers here. The dog pound that's always 5-11 that gets smoked by Pittsburgh and Baltimore every single year. They did make the playoffs last year. But with all those Ivy League people, the guy from the best, I can't remember his name now. Paul, the best, makes no never mind anyways. The management people, the head coaches in Ivy League graduate, the general manager, Andrew Berry, went to Harvard, whatnot. Paul Podesta, I think is his name. He was involved with the real money ball with the Oakland A's and stuff. So he's one of their cap people. And they are Deshaun Watson's contract, $250 fully guaranteed. His cap hits now are $60 million this year, next year. Compared to, like I said, Cleveland have fired their offensive coordinator. Okay. They brought in Ken Dorsey, who was fired from not a hit with Buffalo, and Josh Allen. They lost their great offensive line coach to here in Tennessee, Bill Callahan, and now they're playing Deshaun Watson $63 billion in cap hit. So his numbers, I just mentioned, his numbers in cap hit comparable to a Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's unbelievable. $24 million in cap hit, 24%, $63 million. It's over 20+% of the cap. I don't expect them to even make the playoffs this year, let alone win a game or two, because that number is so high. And now I may be wrong. They made it last year, And again, two things can be true. I like the message that they've sent. I noticed they've gotten more luck there with their free agents. They've re-signed their big-time defensive tackle there. I want to say they re-signed their cornerback there. They're going to re-sign Amari Cooper. I think they'll end up working out something with Amari Cooper. They brought in Jerry Jeudy. They're decent on paper, but the Watsons really got to show up this year. But the way that the management has structured that is not going to be good. Then you got a guy like Matthew Stafford, per se, at $49 million, and he wants more money. He wants more money. That's his cap hit this year, $49 million, which it's not as bad as Watson at 24%, but you're pushing what, like 19% there. So I guess all I'm saying is, even if Doug Peterson don't work out, Doug Peterson got fired from the Eagles. Understandably, the team looked like a wreck at the end. That team did not look ready. They've replaced their defensive. I talked about this last week. They got rid of their defensive coordinator. They're supposed to be better defensively this year. Trent Baalke's made Trayvon Walker is not Aiden Hutchinson. He's not the player of an Aiden Hutchinson. They've made some mistakes there. So what if Mr. Khan, the owner there, they've got Lawrence locked up here for a few more years here, up to 28, 29. And the guy's 24, 25 years old, right in the prime of his career. What if he just fires Doug Peterson? You got a guy like Lawrence, who everybody knows is a mega talent, and the potential's still there. He's already showed it at the NFL level. Couldn't he go out and get a 72-year-old Bill Belichick and bring in a Josh McDaniels? How attractive does a franchise quarterback in his prime look to a big-time coach? Look at the team that they beat. They came back 27 points a couple years ago and beat in the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert. I mean, they got Jim Harbaugh to come out of Michigan, coming off a national championship with no Nick Saban, had a shot to maybe win 2 or 3, got him in and didn't give him the kind of money that I thought they would. I mean, he paid him good. But they didn't pay him over $20 million because it was Justin Herbert locked in long term. The Jim Harbaugh says, I can bring my guys in. We can do something with that. I could see Belichick going south and saying, okay, I can do something with Trevor Lawrence. I can do something with that guy. So, speaking of the devil, kudos to Bill Belichick. All right. And what I'm about to say is I'm going to ask Keith when he comes up here in the next 5-6 minutes or so. So Bill Belichick, remember he was recently fired, however you want to put it, mutually agreed to part ways or whatever, however you guys want to state that, essentially got fired. Things got really dicey there at the end. Should not have been the general manager. Had the weight of the world on him. Probably didn't know it because he's so dialed in his work. Try to work his way out of it. Made a lot of money, though. Made a lot of money with the Patriots. Really grinding hard for 20-something years there. 24 years as the Patriots head coach there. What was it, 10 Super Bowls, 6 wins? Or was it 9? 7, 9, and whatever. Yeah, they lost 3. Yeah, they did. Yeah, 6, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 wins there, and the guy has just grinded himself into the ground. Made over $200 million, $25 million last year. Okay. I say that because this is the first time he's really had some time on his hands over the past 20 plus years. He has agreed to do the Manning cast, which is coming up, and he did the Tom Brady roast. I thought he was fun there, but he is dating Jordan Hudson now, a 24-year-old ex-cheerleader, a 24-year-old, and I got this off of TMZ last week. The unlikely, this is from New York Post, who they got from TMZ. The unlikely pair reportedly met on a flight in 2021, just a few years ago, after bonding over a philosophy project the then student was working on. They exchanged numbers, and although their relationship was friendly at first, things turned romantic sometime last year. In fact, the duo was spotted together as early as in January 23, 7 months before his breakup from Holiday. This is a lady in her 50s he'd been dating for a while. It says Hudson was a competitive cheerleader at Bridgewater State University in Massachusetts, even won a national championship title with the squad in 21. In February, she acknowledged National Girls and Women's Sports Day by sharing the positive impact cheerleading had on her life. Depending on who you ask, I was just telling people, I was telling a friend of mine this week that, I saw this story, I think it was Friday, about Bill Belichick, dating this young girl. And, I'm 42. I'll be 43 in July. Keep that between us, right? And, I was talking to this woman at work here. She's new. And I was thinking about asking her out, but she's 23. I've gotten really some hard looks from younger women I've asked out in their 20s. I look a lot younger than what I am, act younger than what I've been told. Really gel well with folks in that age group. And I've been turned down once they find out my age. I'm like, oh, wait, I thought you was 30, 31, whatever. I was telling him, I said, man, I don't feel bad if I ask this chick out. All I got to do is say, Belichick, he's 72 years old, and he's dating one 50 years. He could be her grandfather. But, you just look at a guy like that and how hard he's worked living up in that area of the country where it's just all work all the time. And I know he had some fun in the off season. I've seen pictures of him and this other lady on the boat and everything, this Holiday lady. And I'm okay with it. I mean, the guy's got some time and some money. Let him live his life a little bit. And now that I've seen the great Keith Engel, I'm going to start off asking him about this. It just came up on my screen. Hey, Keith, how you doing, man?
Robert, how are you?
Good to see you getting out. Before I ask you this, I don't know how much you heard me back there, but I got a feeling there's two answers to this question. There's one answer, because I know you're married and everything, when the wife is around. There's another answer when it's just us guys. What do you think about Bill Belichick dating this 24-year-old ex-cheerleader, Jordan Hudson, 50 years his junior? I feel 50 years younger, Keith.
I don't know. It's funny. I mean, God bless him. I don't know where he got the energy to be with a 24-year-old. I mean, I don't have the energy to be with a 64-year-old. So it's funny, it makes for, here's the funny thing about this, though, Robert, and in a football related note,
yeah,
I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I almost think this hurts his chances to get another NFL job. I really do.
Can you imagine him on the Manning cast?
It's got to come up, doesn't it?
So, Bill, what have you been doing here lately? How's your dating life? Peyton Manning voice. Well, Peyton, if I feel 50 years younger.
And what's he say? Well, what's he say when this doesn't go well, right? And they ask him, what happened with a 24-year-old? He goes, we're on to the 18-year-old.
That's exactly, yeah. Yeah, we're on the Cincinnati, and I'm back. What was her name? Something Holiday, the other lady. She was in her 50s.
Yeah, well, that's a little more age appropriate. I mean, it's not, perfect. Even Robert Kraft went through the same kind of midlife crisis, if you will, a decade ago, where he was dating people 50 years younger than him. But he's gotten married to somebody. I think she's around 60, which again,
he in his 80s though, right?
He's 82, I think. Yeah.
Okay, but that's still pretty young for him. Yeah.
But she's a she's a doctor. I think she's a surgeon. She's in her 60s, and that's a little more age appropriate than a 24-year-old cheerleader. I mean,
but you know how hard he's worked over the last 25 years. I mean, he didn't hardly do nothing. He's 24 years, and Brady's really given him his kudos to how much they've had him prepared, and he just comes off as a workaholic. He's got a lot of time and money on his hand. $25 million a year he was making the last year with the Patriots. It's okay to let the guy live a little bit.
Well, I hope he doesn't kill himself in the next if he's got all this pent up frustration, it could be dangerous for him.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I'm happy for the guy, even if she's using him and he may be using her.
I'm sure they're using each other. I mean, who else do you say when they bonded over her, like he's
some kind of project or something? They met on an airplane 3 years ago, according to New York Post.
They met on an airplane, and he gave her his autograph on her school project paper or something. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. I mean,
I wouldn't have thought it for Belichick, but then again, I mean, he had some time and some money. He's getting a chance to enjoy all that hard work he's done building up those Patriots. I was just talking about Trevor Lawrence. Can you see like a Jacksonville? Say if Doug Peterson has another stinker year, Lawrence just got a big extension. Wouldn't it be attractive to go after maybe a Bill Belichick, man?
Listen, there's a lot of teams I think could do worse than Bill Belichick. I think the Falcons made a huge mistake in not bringing.
Possibly, yeah.
I get why they didn't, and I get what their concerns were, and but like a Jacksonville with a ready-made. Listen, people are getting all over Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville. He doesn't deserve this. Well, this is the going rate for quarterbacks today. I mean, if you don't have you can't just say I'm not going to pay the guy if you don't have another quarterback. I mean, it's not that easy. You got to pay these guys the going rate, and if they
get that 27-point comeback, a couple years ago against the Chargers, so
he had a rough year last year, but he's still on a learning curve. This is going to be his fourth year, right? I mean, this guy's. It takes quarterbacks sometimes 4, 5, 6 years to sometimes get it, and he's had some decent success even while he's learning. And I think that would be an attractive job for Bill Belichick if it were to come open. I personally don't think it will, but I think that'd be a good spot. But again, I'm totally serious when I say that NFL teams may shy away from him because of this type of relationship and wonder where's his judgment when if he's dating a 24-year-old. Should I really be?
Is that the answer when the wife must be in the room?
Right. I never know.
I'm single, man. I was just telling the audience. I was considering asking this woman out. She's 23. I'll be 43 in a month. And I was feeling hesitant to ask her out, Keith. But him and Al Pacino, they've struck some confidence in me.
They should have. I agree. There's different. My wife and I had this conversation too. There's times in your life where the age gap, seems like more or less, I guess, depending at what point you're in, right? There's no time when you're 72 and 24 that it seems like it's going to be.
Yeah, right. I think his son's older than 24, isn't he?
You get to 43 and 23. That's not terrible. That's 20 years, and that's not terrible.
One generation, not 2, right?
53 and 33 isn't so bad.
Yeah.
But then, 73 and 53 starts to feel like a lot. I don't know.
That does.
I don't know. That's why I say. But then when you get really older, what does it matter? My
I
dad,
see that.
my dad remarried somebody 10 years younger than him. God bless him. I mean,
Yeah.
that seems like nothing compared to what we're talking about. But, it makes a difference. He's got somebody younger than him to help him now as he gets, older. So
My sister. I'm the youngest of three. She's the oldest. I brought that up on Christmas last year. Oh, she hated that, Keith. She's going to be pushing your wheelchair. Well, I need somebody. I don't want a woman in her wheelchair, too.
Right. I don't know how my wife and I are going to do it. We got to hire people to do it because we don't have somebody else to do it. So.
If you got the money, right?
Right. Well, there's going to go all the money, right? It's going to all go to somebody pushing my wheelchair and, keeping me clean, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah. That's well, Bill, you got to sign a prenup now.
Oh, her parents must be so proud, though, right? I mean,
that is true. Let me ask you, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. College football, they're talking about paying the players directly. Do you think this will help the stuff with the NIL, or do you think this is going to make it more chaotic?
I'm torn. I don't think it's going to help because it doesn't eliminate the NIL, right? The pay for play is basically everybody, and everybody's got a $20 million budget throughout all their sports to use. It's not a lot of money when you think about it. It sounds like a lot of money. But when you take, Title IX's got to come into this somewhere, right? The women have to be taken care of on the same level as the men. So when you start spreading this amongst football, basketball, men's and women's basketball, obviously, baseball, softball. I mean, the 20 million isn't going very far. So, and that can be paid directly from the school. And at least there's no, we have total transparency that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
The NIL is still going to be out there, and it's still the schools that are controlling where this money goes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the reality. It isn't going to stop it. I guess the one saving grace is that maybe as we head down this road, and I didn't want to see this. I would like amateurism, and it's dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it puts some kind of, salary caps or keeping kids in place, because if I'm giving a kid whatever, if out of my $20 million budget to spend, if I find a 5-star quarterback that I want to give $4 million to, well, I'm going to make him sign that he's staying. Not that you're going to take my $4 million and transfer somewhere else.
No transfer clause, Keith.
There's got to be they got to sign contracts
That's an interesting point. Yes,
or pay the money back, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's the other thing I said. I mean, to me, they ought to start using this money. It's because the money's not going away. It's very obvious the money's not going away.
It just keeps building, man.
But they need to use it as a weapon, if you will, to keep kids at the school and to keep them playing. If you don't play in the team's bowl game then give me the money back I gave you for playing, right?
Wow.
If you played a whole schedule, if you want to sit out and it's for something other than injury, there's got to be some penalty for that, because I'm tired of watching, bowl games, important games where kids are deciding to sit out because they want to protect their draft status and whatnot.
I never thought about that. That's a good point. So when you're paying them, you could have some more control over. Hey, if you blow off the bowl game, that's on you. It's still part of the season. We're finishing up the season, right?
Yep. Give me my money back. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And I'd say you can't be transferring out of here in a year or 2 years either. You're staying until you leave for the NFL. You're staying here.
Do you think that'll still stop them if somebody else has got an NIL bigger deal to go elsewhere?
Yeah, not if it wouldn't matter, right? If I got to give you back $2 million and this guy's offered me, $8 million, I guess no, it wouldn't matter,
right? That's the flip side to it.
It was like the coaches situation, right? They all have buyouts and whatnot, but they don't hold you there when the new school's willing to pay your buyout as part of your contract. So you'd have the same kind of situation. I mean, I'm trying to look for. Here's the thing: I've complained about the changing landscape in college sports for so long. I'm just trying to get my head around the fact that this is a new reality, and I've got to find a way to enjoy it. I want to watch the games, and I still want to enjoy the games. If I can enjoy Saturdays, and Saturdays still thrill me more than Sundays because there's more excitement, and there always has been. I'll be fine. I'll figure out a way around, get my head around everything else. But if this starts to feel like just another, pro league, if you will, well, then I don't need another pro league. I got the NFL. I don't need another pro league.
Wow. I'm really upset that the coaches have done what they've done and retired. I mean, no Nick Saban this year. I was thinking, who's the coach there? Dabo. I was reading something the other day. Maybe Dabo's days are numbered at Clemson.
Well, Dabo's biggest problem is that he won't accept the new landscape, right? He won't buy into NIL and bring in transfers. And his explanation, he had a press conference where he was defending his own policies, and his defense was, none of these guys are good enough to pay to come here. And I'm like, then why are you going 8-4 in the ACC? if none of these guys in the portal are good enough to play at Clemson, I'm not buying that.
Do you see it being like college basketball where it's made a major dip and it's losing its luster, where it's not the number 2 rated sport in America? Do you see it going that bad?
It could happen. I mean, again, if people become, anesthetized, because again, part of the appeal to me was these were, again, I get it. They were with NIL, and even before then, guys were getting
there were questionable payments.
Yeah. Right? But they were, for all intents and purposes, you were still watching the amateurs play, right? Not professional athletes. And that line is very much blurred now. And there will be a lot of people that will turn off, I think, when I've got the same game I can watch on Sundays with actual professionals. It depends.
Better athletes, yeah.
It depends, because rivalries drive this sport. I've talked a long time on my shows that some people miss the and so does the NCAA, misses the point that college football is a regional sport with national appeal.
Yes.
So regional rivalries matter, and a lot of those regional rivalries have been torn apart by all this realignment, and I think that's what's really going to hurt this sport more than anything else, is some of these rivalries go away.
Yeah. I mean, people in another side of the country watch Auburn, Alabama. Yeah.
I mean, it's a big story.
Michigan, Ohio State every year, man.
Yeah, even when one of the teams is bad, right? I mean, people tune in for Michigan, Ohio State, and Auburn, Alabama. Those are big rivals. Now, those aren't broken up, obviously. And they'll
right now
together. Right before the next bomb hits, they're at least they're not broken up. But you had Texas and Texas A&M. At least that was being reunited. That was a big rivalry that hasn't happened.
Are they going to play this year? Texas and Texas?
They are. I believe Thanksgiving Saturday they're playing.
Oh, man. That was underrated rivalry, man.
Yeah, that'll be there's some great games. I think I want to say Texas. Yeah, Texas. These are all the same day. Oh gosh, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yes.
Early in the day, 4:00 was going to be, I think, the Iron Bowl, which is Alabama and Auburn.
And then down to one throw last year, Keith.
And then you get Texas A&M and Texas at night. I think those are all the same day, so that's good for college football. That type of thing is good. But there's still a lot of there's a lot of regional rivalries that are gone, and that'll hurt football on a local level. Some of the national stuff is still there, but I think football on a local level is going to suffer for all of this. Who's going to care? Who's going to care about UCLA and going to Rutgers?
That's true.
Nobody's going to care.
That's a big that was UCLA, USC. That was a pretty big rival too.
That's a big rivalry, and they'll find a way to keep that together. With them both moving to the Big Ten.
In Texas, Oklahoma, well, they both are in the SEC.
They move together, so that stays together. But again, it's schools like a lot of the schools in the Big 12. There's no great rivalries. You got BYU and Utah, but I mean, Oklahoma doesn't get to play Oklahoma State again for at least 5 years, maybe more, maybe never again. Who knows? So those are the types of matchups that I'm talking about. I know a lot of the ones the nation turns into are still intact, but there's a lot that's gone by the wayside, right? I mean,
well, you're a big college guy. Do you have an opinion on Caitlin Clark bringing this audience to the WNBA, which a lot of us didn't I've never watched a WNBA game all the way through, but now I feel like I'm tuning in subconsciously and consciously, even checking the scores to see what she's doing. What's your thoughts on her? Just phenomenal, transferring the audiences like that. I didn't think she'd be able to do that.
Yeah, I wasn't positive she'd be able to do it. Again, she's a great player and a great college basketball player, men or women. Not the best of all time. I mean, again,
she broke a lot of records, though.
She broke a lot of records. There's a big following. I had questions about. I said they weren't going to beat some of the numbers they beat, and during the tournament, and when they're beating the men. But they did it. I had to, hey, when I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. And I didn't know if she could carry those numbers to WNBA. And she has. And that's why some of the stuff going on there and the comments being made are so short-sighted by the other players in this league saying, it's not just her. It's not just her. Angel Reese, who's a fine player, and she's got a chip on her shoulder, obviously, about Caitlin Clark. And look at it, probably, and I know, and it's sad in this day and age that it's got to break down along racial lines.
Yeah,
a lot of this, we know that.
Do you like the antagonists, protagonist?
It's good, but you can't say things like, she doesn't mean what people think she means to this league. When she goes into a city and there's 5,000 people the night before when Angel Reese and her team were there, and Caitlin Clark comes in and they fill the place up and there's 20,000.
Yeah,
and that's happening all over the league. You can't deny that that's good for your sport. It's good for you. You're going to get a TV contract that's bigger, which means more money in your pocket. You're going to get people in the stands, which means more money in your pocket. And these players and some of the coaches are short-sighted in not understanding the economics of what's available here. Yes.
Do you think it'll come to pass, though, where they got charter flights, by the way? They got flying private for the first time.
Never had it before, right? Right. Never had it before. So she's very important to the health, the survival of this league. This is a league that's been struggling financially, losing money for forever.
30 years.
Decades. And, now they've got a chance to actually turn that around and get people watching that, like yourself, that never would have watched.
Have you watched any of her games?
I've never watched a game all the way through, quite honestly. There's just been too many other things to tune into with,
I know you're a big baseball guy.
Baseball and hockey and basketball playoffs and stuff, so I haven't seen.
Do you have any comments about Boston winning the 18 championship yesterday, day before yesterday?
The best team won. I mean, a lot of people have been sniping at them that, they played a lot of teams that were hurt and this, they would have beat all those teams most likely. I mean, I was rooting for my Knicks to get there and face Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they'd have beat this team, quite frankly. It's a good basketball team.
Old machine.
They play great team basketball. People talk about, being down in the NBA, and there's been times that I have been because there's so much one-on-one play.
Yeah.
Run down, hoist up three-pointers, and you still see a lot of three-pointers. But now, even with the Knicks, I saw it with the Knicks during the playoffs. I've seen it with Boston now. Dallas did it to not great success in the finals, but they did it throughout the playoffs. There's a lot of ball movement. There's really good defense being played, and there's really good ball movement. Now it ends up, unlike 40 years ago, it ends up in a three-pointer, not a layup or a short jump shot, but that's the game. But there's still great ball movement.
That's what I said to the bad New Yorker.
Yeah.
It's like Hoosiers or something.
It's fun to watch that kind of ball movement, and again, the Knicks did it very well the second part of the season and into the playoffs. Injuries, they ran into injuries, but
does Dallas miss Jalen Brunson?
Without a doubt. Their only chance to win that series was for Luka and Kyrie to be just at the top of their game every game, and Kyrie didn't show up 4 to 5 games. And neither Luka, but he was injured a bit too, but neither one of them, to me, really did themselves much justice in this series. They don't come out of this looking very good because the Celtics just dismantled them. They're a good basketball team, and they've been knocking at the door for a long time. And
do you think they'll be back there next year with all these guys back on contract?
Yeah, I see no reason to think they won't be they're the favorites right now in my mind. Obviously, there'll be some teams. Obviously, everybody be shooting at them, but I hope the Knicks can get healthy and keep OG there correct the centers. Hartenstein, the center is very important. He played great in the playoffs. If they can keep this team together, I think the Knicks can give them a run. But to me, the Boston's got to be the favorite.
Who would you like to see New York get? A lot of people that talk about the Knicks maybe challenge them in the East if healthy.
I don't think the Knicks need to bring in another big. OG's going to be a free agent. They've got to find a way.
He wants a lot of money. He wants more money, is what I'm reading.
I'm giving it to him though. The team was like they're like 28-4 with him in the lineup. I mean, you cannot overlook how good he is when he's on the court. Now, he's got some injury issues, which you got to kind of live with. But to me, I bring him back. I would run this team back the way that it is and add a couple of bench pieces.
Okay.
And not look for another big star.
No Brandon Ingram, no Karl Anthony Towns, none of that.
I'm not doing that. Again, I bring Hartenstein back. I bring OG back. I get a healthy Julius Randle. Add a couple bench pieces that can contribute and take my run at it there.
Okay.
That team healthy can give. They'll be a contender.
So the Yankees, they look great. They did lose 2 or 3 to the Dodgers. Is that what the playoffs are going to look like, where they look great in the regular season, but their bullpen catches them?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of grief from my Yankee friends because I can be very tough on my team. I want to be wrong, but I've seen this too many times now.
Every summer, right?
They've won 100 games and lost in the ALCS. They've won 90 plus games. Last year was an aberration, 82 and 80, but they have great regular seasons. Yeah, win the division or get a wild card berth, and they go into the playoffs and they don't hit because they get elite pitching. Without home runs, they don't find ways to score runs. Yeah, I was very impressed and we saw that against the Dodgers, by the way. They left like the first couple of games. They left 12 men on base, and they've still got 3 or 4 guys in the lineup that got on base percentages at 300 or below, which is terrible. Stanton is, I'm tired of everybody getting excited every time he hits a ball 120 miles an hour. I don't really care I'd like to see the guy not strike out 4 times.
Yeah, I know. They need to add small ball to their game.
So that's the problem. You've got to find a way to create runs when you aren't hitting home runs, and this team still doesn't show they can do that. They did it last night. Against the Orioles. They did play.
Oh, that's that's going to be a good one. Good pennant race there.
Yeah, they won last night, and I think they're tied 1-1 tonight. They were a little while ago. Cole's back. The big Cole's back, which this team to have the best record in baseball. And Garrett Cole's first pitch thrown in angers in June?
Do you have anybody in mind you would like to see them pick up at the trade deadline? Middle relief, folks.
They definitely need help in the bullpen. They could probably use a back end starter for some depth in the starting rotation because Clark Schmidt's hurt. We don't know if Cole's arm will hold up. We don't know that. I would probably look for something there. As much as I love Anthony Rizzo, I think they're going to need to look for maybe a first baseman.
Okay.
Maybe another outfielder. I'd love to get Judge out of center field every day. That worries me wearing him down as well.
Oh yeah.
So I wouldn't mind getting.
I got him in center field. See, I'm just now really paying attention to baseball now that everything else is flushed out.
Yeah, they bring in Soto. They don't have anybody to play center field because Soto got to play left or right. And
he's back now, I guess. Yeah,
he's better suited to be a DH. He's been everything they expect. He's a great hitter, but other than that, he doesn't bring a ton. He's not a great defensive player.
Are you a big fan of re-signing Soto to be good?
It's the Yankees, so they can afford to do whatever they want to do. You can't pay him more than Judge, though. I mean, you can't pay him more than the face of your franchise. So it's going to be very difficult to pay him more than he's going to hit the market. I mean, there's no way he's not going to hit the free agent market, and the numbers are going to get up to 50, 60 or more a year. And how are you going to pay him more than Judge?
Man, depends on what the Yankees. I know the old man will do it if he was still around.
Yeah, for sure. for
George
sure.
pulled the trigger on you.
You know, a guy I would love to see in the Yankees who may get traded. He's going to go on the block. Toronto's having a bad year. Is Vlad Guerrero Jr. would look really good on his team, but there's no way the Blue Jays are going to trade him in the division.
Oh my God!
But he's
the commissioner should stop that one if that happened. No.
I'd love to see Vlad on this team.
Yeah, I'm just curious, man. I know Mac's probably working you to death here. So what's your schedule now, show-wise, man?
I have tonight on Wednesday nights we do the college football huddle at 7 p.m. Eastern. Friday mornings, one-on-one with Keith Engel. We started up the interview show. We've had some great interviews.
I love that. Yeah.
Got Jim Sundberg, former Texas Ranger and Kansas City Royal. I got Brett Saberhagen in a couple weeks.
God.
So we're gonna have we got a lot of good interviews coming up. So that's Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Friday afternoon,
sports, folks. Yeah,
and TGI Sports Talk. You can catch that on. You can catch it on Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel as well. Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel. All these shows. I have the MLB update on Fridays at 3. And then Sundays we have the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, which goes.
You still must be working from home doing all those schedules.
Oh yeah, definitely working from home. Definitely. Definitely. So I've been on the air. I've been working and on the air since about 6 a.m. this morning with very little time in between. So my wife's probably getting ready to kill me, thinking I'm down here with a.
You look good, man. You look like you're out there playing yourself. Look like you've lost some weight.
I had a couple different rounds of oral surgery, so I lost a little bit of weight.
I've got to do it tomorrow myself. I got to get a tooth looked at, and I'm not looking forward to it, Keith.
I've had a couple, like where they had to put me under and go in there and cut me up a couple times in the last 6 weeks. So it's no fun, but stuff's got to get done before you get old and all your teeth fall out. And I'm not going to get a 24-year-old when I'm 72. If I
okay. I thought you'd be cheering Bill on, man.
I look at more power to him. He can do what he wants. I mean, he's got
Keith
money.
Fingal, everybody. Hey, buddy, I appreciate it, man. And tell Mac and everybody I said hello. I'm just busy. I hate that time to do anything. But.
I will do that. Yeah, besides all my other shows, I'm on with him like 3 or 4 times a week as well for at least a half hour. So
yeah. Look for Keith Fingal. You're like who's that guy in the background? What's that called?
Waldo.
Where's Waldo?
That's me. Where's Waldo?
Hey, buddy, have a good night, man.
You too, Robert. Great being here.
All right, man. See ya. Keith Fingal, who was one of my absolute favorites, most well-versed sports guy ever is Keith Fingal. Check him out. Keith Fingal, TGI Sports. Look that up, folks. Have a good night, everybody. I will be back here possibly by Friday with Mad New Yorker. But tune in tomorrow. Kavarius Tears, really good replay interview here. He's going to be playing in the College World Series, folks, on Saturday. Tennessee will play the winner of Texas A&M, Florida. Congratulations, University of Tennessee. Have a good night, everybody.